Hi, this is Tag again, and today I want to do a quick guide on the memory voltmod on these DFI nF3 250GB LAN parties. Now this is going to be a rather short one because these are DFI boards, so they're pretty damn awesome and they don't need that many mods. It's actually only one. Let me get my overclocking board here to show you. Now, what we are doing here is basically feeding the memory VRM with 5 volts instead of 3.3 because, well, Vmem scale further than 3.2 volts, so we want as much voltage as possible. Well, actually, maybe not, because this is a rather strange board in that regard. Personally, I noticed it losing stability over like 3.4, maybe 3.5 volt memory. Anyways, basically what we're doing is lifting a pin on this FET. Let me get my multimeter probe here. Lifting a point on the pin on this FET and feeding it from 5 volts. This whole thing here is just so you can adjust the memory voltage as well. So we have a variable resistor on a feedback pin, as you usually have. I'm going to do a detailed one on the computer of that later. Anyways, this orange wire here is 5 volts and it is connected directly on the back of the 20 pin. So that's how we feed it. The rest of the board is just monitoring. I have here my memory voltage and my CPU V core on my Molex, and I also have the voltmeter. So I'm going to see you in Paint with the details.
Okay, here we are. So let's start with the pin we have to remove. That's this one. So you just gently lift it up, and I on my board put a piece of cardboard in between the pin and the pad so it doesn't fall down again basically and short something. Then the more typical volt mod would be to use the typical feedback mod from this pad to ground. So attach your variable resistor to ground. Now for a ground pad, we have two very convenient options here. One is the screw hole and two is the unpopulated capacitor pad here, the top one. Now for values of this, I would say 10 to 20 to 20 kilo ohms. Now with the 10 you have a basically more precise regulation, but maybe go with the 20 so you have basically lower minimum voltage, because this board sometimes doesn't like really high memory volts. So from this one here, anyways, continue this. This one, I personally, that's not good if we intersect that one. Anyways, I ran a trace all the way through this screw hole to the back of the 20 pin. And I'm going to show you now the 20 pin on Paint, so you can see where you have your 5 volts you want. Now I know in my video I showed before that the cable I used is orange, which might be a bit confusing because orange is usually 3.3 volts and I used it for 5 volts. Anyways, don't let that distract you, it's 5 volts. Open up the 24 pin, well 20 pin in this case actually. So you have your 5 volts here, here, and on the other side as well, there you have, that's this 3.3, 3.3, ground. Five, ground, 5. So these are your 4 options. Your trace would be coming from here in my example. I put it over these 2 because there I can solder it to 2 at the same time. Basically without scratching any solder mask or anything. Also I have these reinforcement wires here. So I can put the trace like right in here, solder it across both the reinforcement wires and the pins. So that's what I would recommend for it. But you can also use these pins in case you, I don't know, want to route it a shorter path or something. So yeah, let's go back to the top side. There we go. Anyways, that's about it for this volt mod. It was a rather short one, I know. And I hope it was explained simply enough that you can do it on your own DFI. Now, I fully understand if you feel a bit hesitant, because these boards are not exactly common and they're not exactly cheap either. But if you want to give it a try, let me know how it went.